General Arnold knows it.
No, is he here?
He's here talking to Jerry Smith. He's the Major
Oh.
General.
Yeah,
That
okay.
was the ninth guy.
Yeah.
When I looked at his thing,
Yeah.
he's been.
Everybody ready to start? Everybody's good?
Yeah.
Commissioner Barnes, are you ready? You need a minute. Okay. Commissioner Shad and Ashbrook, are you guys ready, or you need a minute?
It used to be in the military, by the time you got up to flag rank, you really had to have a whole lot on the ball.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Lynn Haven Community Redevelopment Agency meeting for June 14th and welcome everyone who's here today. It's a great day to see everyone. The meeting is now called to order. Item number 2 is the approval of the meeting minutes from April 26, 2016. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'd like to move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from the board over the previous minutes? Any discussion from the public? And there appears to be none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook? Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so the meeting minutes are approved. Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding the residential incentive program application for 806 Indiana Avenue. Is there a motion for approval and for discussion of this item?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's been a motion for both a first and a second motion, rather. Are there any questions or discussion from the board, or is there any information from staff?
No information from staff.
Okay. No questions or discussion from the board? Any from the public? There appears to be none. Therefore, Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. So the residential incentive program application for 806 Indiana Avenue is approved. Item number 4 is the Lynn Haven CRA Advisory Board, discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of new board members. And I just wanted to comment, because we recently worked together to come about forming this board after Main Street was dissolved, and this advisory board would be just that, an advisory board of citizens to advise this board on the best way to spend money and the best way to start new projects, and just, I think, a wonderful thing. The fact that we have 9 people applying and 5 to 7 was what we decided upon, I just think that's a wonderful, wonderful testament to the fact that people are very excited about this board and very excited about being part of what's going on in this wonderful little town. So with that said, I did want to share one other discussion that I had today, and maybe let the city attorney elaborate on our discussion, because when I saw there were 9 applicants and we have, according to our ordinance, we have 7 places, and all the applicants are, wonderful applicants, and I think, could do a great job. So I asked him what would be the possibility of having 7 board members and 2 alternates, because we frequently have boards formed and someone has to move, or someone leaves, or someone just loses interest, or whatever. So if we had 7 members and 2 alternates, then if that came up, then we could just go ahead and let the next alternate take the place without having to go through this immediately again. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I'd had that discussion with the attorney, and then at this time I would like to turn this item over to our city attorney to talk to the rest of the board about his ideas of how we could select, some possible ways of selecting the 7 board members.
Yes, Mayor. It can be often difficult to pick multiple members when you have a lot of applicants for different positions, and so there's lots of different ways the commission has done this in the past, but the one that seems to have worked the best is we basically pass out, I have index cards here, and you write down your top 5 candidates, and then we just see how many candidates get votes. And typically what happens is that there'll be some that don't get votes, because there's obviously 9 people and only 5 can get votes, and some will and some won't, and then there usually is a natural break around there without any kind of ranking but just their names. And I can present the names of the top 7 if the commission so wants to go with 7, and y'all can then discuss it and vote. And if there's one candidate in particular that you really feel strongly about, that's your chance to advocate to the rest of the commission about why that person is important. Is that the method that the commission would like to use?
I see reasons, as the mayor's indicated, for the alternates. I need to be certain that if we have 7 appointees, how are the alternates involved? Will the advisory board, determine that there's an absentee, or in other words, when do they recruit the alternate in? Is the alternate going to participate, or just truly be an alternate in case something happens and someone has to step down off the board? Is that the way it would work?
I think the idea of the alternate would be not to sit in particular meetings, but if one of the members were to leave the board, which is fairly common in these volunteer boards, that somebody has a family situation that comes up and has to resign, and then when that happens, we have to go through the whole reappointment process again. So I think the mayor's idea was to just go ahead and do that now, so we have 2 candidates ready to step in when
So
someone
they would
leaves.
just wait in the wings to
yes,
fill
sir.
a vacancy?
Yes, sir.
Understand. Okay, thank you.
So have we set in stone exactly how many members that we want? I know we say 5 to 7. I think we probably need to determine exactly how many members we want to comprise this board. So, I mean, 7's fine with me. I'm just trying to hear from everybody else. So,
I would agree 7
Yeah,
with 2 alternates. I like the makeup of that.
Yeah, I'm fine with 7. Given the fact that people have things that preclude their making all the meetings, at least you would probably end up with 5, hopefully, out of 7 who can attend.
do we need to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir. I think that would be appropriate. If a form of the motion to select 7 candidates and the method of selection, I think would be appropriate. And the alternates.
So we need a motion to that effect that we would agree or set the advisory board at 7 members with 2 alternates at this time. So, and the methodology used would be by ballot from the commission, tabulated by the city attorney. That will be my motion.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second that we have 7 members selected for the advisory board using the method outlined by the attorney of writing 5 names on the note card and tabulating, and then those who would be the lesser of the votes, the numbers 8 and 9 would become the alternates, who would then be in the position to step in and become a board member at the time, if that time should arise before the term is out, that one of those board members would step down.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any further discussion of it from the board?
I just want to be certain that the other members of the board know that from the document that was presented from us, we've had one other submission for an application that it's not reflected on our initial.
I think they're all there.
Are they all here?
Yeah, I apologize.
That's fine. It just wasn't. It wasn't on the spreadsheet. But I know we had one come in a day or 2 ago. I want to be sure that was there for consideration.
It wasn't a new one.
So,
Uh,
was the general on there?
Yes. Yeah, I just provided some additional information
Okay.
that wasn't in his
He is
application.
there. Okay.
Yeah, his name was there, but all the
Okay.
information wasn't
Thank
there. My apologies.
And Mayor, just for clarification, we're writing down 5 names or 7? 5 names.
5 names, and if you would put your name at the top, just for the public record that we have what the names were.
How are we going to get to 7 if we're only doing that?
This experience is that you all won't pick the same 5.
I got you. Okay.
If you do pick the same 5, then we'll go back and do 2 more.
Good kumbaya moment.
Are there any comments or objections, anything from the public before we vote? Yes. They're having difficulty hearing Commissioner Ashbrook.
Is it better? I'll just get it closer.
Okay, Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Ashbrook,
Yes.
Commissioner Shad,
Aye.
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes. So that motion has passed, and so we will now write our names down, correct? Yeah.
Oh,
he's going to give you.
Change it. Okay. Mayor, we have Mr. Hodskins got 5 votes. Mr. Hance, 5. Mr. Hall, 3. Ms. Turner, 3. Mr. Russell, 3. And then Ms. Carroll, I believe, 2. And Ms. Gilbert, 2. And I think I said Miss to everybody, so I apologize.
Ms. Gilbert is a Mr.
Mr. Okay, Gilbert, 2. So that would be the top 7.
Okay.
With Ms. Tennell and Mr. Walker as the alternates. Everyone got a vote.
Do we need to make a motion to accept that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll move approval that we accept the tally.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any discussion or question from the board? Any discussion or questions from the public? There appears to be none. So our board has been selected. Congratulations to those who were selected as well as to the alternates. I think this is going to be a great addition to the CRA, and we look forward to listening and working with everyone. This brings us to item number 5, which is the public commentary for the CRA meeting.
Madam Mayor, I think we may have to vote on that. Do we? No, I think
Was there a
Commissioner
motion, a
Friend had
second,
a
and a vote?
motion.
No?
I did a motion to accept the tally.
I'll second it.
Was there a
think I
vote?
would-
There was no voting.
Would you please call the roll? I'm so sorry.
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook,
Yes.
Commissioner Shad,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes. At this time, we'll move, and the motion is carried. We'll move to, I got so excited about the CRA board, I forgot to call for the vote.
Mayor, I did have one thing to add if I
Okay.
could, and I don't know if now's the time or not, but I did just want to mention while we have the CRA board here, and I know some of the members for the new advisory board, I'd like to mention maybe that we give consideration to, I'm sure the board will select a chairperson, and maybe we could offer the chairperson to attend one of the CRA seminars or workshops or conferences that they have, so that maybe now that we've appointed them, we can equip them to be successful. So just maybe we'll have that at a later date. I'm sure it's later in the year. I'm sure Ben knows when it is, but maybe that's just something we could consider in the future. I thought I'd mention that while we had the opportunity. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anything to offer as far as number 5, public commentary from anyone? Any questions or comments from anyone? Okay, well, thank you so much for, yes, I'm sorry.
I would like to compliment those that submitted their applications. We had an exceptionally good group, a good cross-section, which is what you need when you have a committee like that. So it's not all lawyers, all engineers, all one or the other. We have a good cross-section, and I think that we are to be commended and blessed the fact that we did have such a group as this.
I certainly concur. And before we adjourn the CRA meeting, I would suggest that those of you who have been selected, that possibly that you would, if there are several of you here, maybe you could come up with a time for an initial meeting and contact the others and, set your schedule and all that. So at this time, then, if there's no further comment or questions, I would like to adjourn this meeting, and let's take a 5-minute break before the City Commission meeting begins. So we'll start at 4:07. Okay, thank you very much.
Who was the 5? I'm an optimist. Where are you headed on vacation? It doesn't broadcast out here now. She should have a.
For those of you just coming in, we're just taking a short break. We just had our CRA meeting, and we're moving into the commission meeting. We'll be starting momentarily, so I just wanted to let you know what was happening.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call to order the June 14th City Commission meeting of the City of Lynn Haven. And we'll begin with our invocation. And we have our newly appointed CRA board member, Pastor Dion Gilbert's with us today, and he's going to lead us in our opening invocation. Thank you, Pastor.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, our Father, we come to you thanking you for the blessings you've already bestowed on us. Lord, we come asking for your grace and your mercy and your comfort for those families affected down in Orlando. And Lord, we come asking that you continue to protect us here in Lynn Haven from anything of that nature. We ask that you cover our children, cover all the citizens of this community. And Lord, we just pray for the wisdom, guidance of our council, of our mayor, and continue just to be kind and be grace and merciful unto us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. If you'd join me now in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seems like it's been a while since we met because our last meeting was canceled because of the size of the agenda and also because I was out of town. I was in Washington, D.C., and I think others were as well. So it's great to see everybody today and hope you've all been well and had good weeks in between. As I said, I did have the opportunity to travel with the League of Cities FAST Committee, which is a committee comprised of mayors who go and lobby to our Florida representatives and senators on behalf of issues which are crucial to Florida and also which are very individual and individualized types of issues. I had the opportunity to sit at a table of less than 10 people with both Senator Marco Rubio and Senator Bill Nelson, and I was able to voice some of our concerns about some of the issues that Lynn Haven is facing, mostly that of flooding and infrastructure that we're going to need help with funding. So that was a very fruitful and very humbling experience to be in the room with those gentlemen. They were both very kind. They didn't have a lot of time, but they were listening to us. They were in the middle of voting on something called the catfish bill, and they were very unhappy about coming out. It was about the import of catfish into our country from other countries. So that was the big item of the day when I was there. I also had the opportunity to participate in Career Day with Springfield Elementary and Lynn Haven Elementary, and I won't get into Commissioner Friend's report, but I got to be in on a school event with him as well, so I'll leave that alone so I don't touch on that. And but I did have a great time. And then I just wanted to encourage everyone to partake of the fun and festivities coming this Saturday and our very first ever Lynn Haven Hermit Crab Festival. Our Leisure Services Director, Maria Stout-Tate, is with us today. She's not feeling very well. Hope she's feeling better soon. But she and her staff have been working extremely hard to make this a success. And this Saturday, there's going to be a 5K run, which Commissioner Friend has been working very hard on. It's a twilight run, a children's movie in the park. There's going to be a kids fishing contest. There's going to be sand sculpting, live music, vendors, food, and I'm sure there'll be a politician or two about, probably shaking hands as well. So I hope you can all come and bring your children and grandchildren, and that would conclude my report. Thank you. Commissioner Shad?
If you will indulge me, I have an award to present to the city, not from me.
Of course.
The Northwest Florida League of Cities ends their fiscal year in May of every year, and they have a dinner over in the Sandestin area. And I was able to attend that dinner. The mayor was out of town, and lo and behold, during the dinner, when they award various categories to cities and to individuals, Lynn Haven was recognized. And we were recognized as what they call a community of excellence. I have to hold this, otherwise it'll fall apart. The award says, presented to the city of Lynn Haven in honor and recognition of outstanding commitment to the citizens of Lynn Haven for the cities with a population of 10,000 to 20,000. There's only 3 of these awards awarded each year, and it's to small cities, medium-sized cities, and the larger cities. This award is, according to their criteria, is award to a city who, over the years, it's not just a one-time short flash in the pan award. They recognize over a series of years of what a city has done. So this award belongs to all of you, but it's in recognition really of what this group has done up here, what the city manager has done, and what the staff has done over the years. We are one of the safer cities. We were recognized from a crime standpoint of having the lowest crime rate, going to what we call the one-stop shopping ability, what we have done to our parks to upgrade them, what we have done in acquiring that 90-plus acres out here. So it's a recognition totally of what all of us have done. And I was very proud to accept it on behalf of the city, so I would like to officially present it to the mayor. Thank you. And I personally would like to thank each individual commissioner and the city manager and our staff for what they have done over the years to help us earn that award. You know, it's not my award, it's not Joe's award. Collectively, it's our award in recognition of the fact that we are doing things for the best for this community and for our cities. And thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Shad, and thank you to everyone. Commissioner Ashbrook?
Attended a number of grand openings over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it just came to me here today that it's nice to see some of these businesses, for whatever reason, relocating to Lynn Haven. They're all existing businesses here in town. One was unfortunate to have a building fall down around them, and it was a group of doctors who were able to find a location in Lynn Haven over at the Zoe Clinic there at Mosley and 389, part of Dr. Dobby's organization. The other, of course, was Russo's, which relocated. And the other, we've talked about incentivizing our own to stay with relocation problems. This was a business that relocated off of 390, was basically moved out by DOT. Their property was acquired, and now they are a business located in the city of Lynn Haven. It's the new working location over there on 389. So I guess sometimes, providential or not, sometimes we get the benefit of other people having to move from a location that isn't in Lynn Haven, and they end up here in our fair city. The other was a steering committee meeting I went to, of which is kind of tied in with the TPO, and I'm sure we'll address that next week. But it's sort of the long-range planning steering committee that DOT uses and brings before the TPO with recommendations. Not to get too excited, I don't know that they'll have much room other than for my headstone by the time most of this stuff gets paid for or engineered, because it is truly long-range, but it has to be done. And then there was another event over at the St. Andrews Center. For those of you who don't know about the St. Andrews Center, you should probably take some time. It's a very worthwhile organization that's been here in Lynn Haven for a long time. Does a tremendous effort with individuals who are not as fortunate as the rest of us and have difficulty adjusting within society. And it's a great organization, and it needs as much support as it can get, not just from the city of Lynn Haven. That's it.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes, just let the commission know that I will not be at the next city commission meeting. I'll be out of town, and that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Friend?
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for not stealing my report. You knew I was going to say something. It's one of my favorite things to do is Lynn Haven Elementary comes over and we get to show off City Hall, and we get to have a mock commission meeting, and I really appreciate the mayor joining me this year, and city manager as well. And it's really a lot of fun. We have a couple of topics to discuss. They get to discuss them with this year we added, they go out and they talk to the residents, which is the other students, and they come up and they have a vote, and they're very similar to our votes, just so you know. So it's kind of interesting. We do have a little work to do, though, because every class thought this building belonged to the mayor or the city manager, which she was quick to correct, but as I always like to point out, who does it belong to? And it's a lot of fun to finally let them realize, and they do. Every class did finally realize that it's theirs, or the residents. So anyway, appreciate that. We had a good time. Look forward to it next year. Also want to take the opportunity to thank Commissioner Whitkoff for what she does every year at the Union Soldier Park with Memorial Day. She heads that up and does an excellent job out there. It's very humbling to do that. And last is, the TPO meeting is next week. So if anybody has any questions or comments on that, I'm available. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
And now that you're finished, if I could just chime in on one issue on this wonderful event that Commissioner Friend hosted. Every single commission board from the 5th grade all day long voted yes for golf carts and meeting change time. I was so excited.
I don't know, did they really? Okay.
They did.
And I'll just add on that, city manager really liked the fact that one of them suggested that we have a user fee for a golf cart. So
yes,
as a way of paying for it. He's like, yeah. Anyway,
there we go.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was fun.
Thank you. That concludes our reports. And then the city manager, do you have a report, Mr. Schubert?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I guess I could add that we have 2 years of debt service on the chambers here, so we can forward that bill to you as well. If you
Since I own the building, yes.
Right. I've got one item, and it's the Employee of the Month, Mr. Derek Rizzuto. I see him in the back. He's the little guy stepping forward here. Derek is responsible for the daily operation of the water treatment plant, which includes water quality sampling, testing, equipment maintenance, etc. And I can say I kind of know Derek personally off the clock as well, because he is extremely involved in public service, and he actually coached my son as well as hundreds of other kids in the community, in the city, with baseball and basketball. Going back to the workday, though, I can tell you he's just an extremely dedicated employee. Just recently, there's 2 folks in the city that can do what he does, and the other fella, unfortunately, had some medical conditions that put him off the clock for 1 or 2 months, and he worked a lot of overtime, a lot of weekends, a lot of nights, a lot of extra shifts. So we appreciate that, and appreciate everything you do in the community as well. Again, just a tremendous family guy, wife Christina, 2 kids. The only thing I can say bad about him, he is a Florida Gator fan, but we'll let that go. But thank you so much, Derek, and this says in recognition of your outstanding performance, productivity, and dedicated service in May of 2016. Appreciate you. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, and congratulations. Item number 6 will be our city attorney's report. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, ma'am. No report except to let you all know that I'm going to miss the next meeting. I'll be traveling with my family also.
Okay, we hope you have a restful, fun time.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 7, which is our public hearing, and we will be opening the public hearing at 4:22. This item is the shared use non-motorized Sun Trail Network program. It's very exciting just to say those words out loud. And do we have staff, or Mr. Schubert, will you be reading this information?
Yes, I can read it. This is for the petition the commission for approval to apply for the shared use non-motorized Sun Trail. This would be for the 4.2 miles in anticipation of the city at first gaining an easement to this property, the old railroad right-of-way, and then actually owning the property within 2 years of closure of the railroad right-of-way, which is included with the Field Depot property. So that's scheduled to close in July. We don't want to waste any time, so we're petitioning the commission to go ahead and apply for this Rails to Trails application for the railroad right-of-way. That's 4.2 miles. It basically bisects the whole city.
There would be a vote required, ma'am.
Is there any motion or action or discussion from the board regarding this item? We need a motion if we're going to go forward.
I think we'll cover that under new business.
It'll be in the, later on.
No, this is just a public hearing, and then we'll vote on it.
It's number 19. So we're not doing it now? No, ma'am. It's a public hearing. It's like.
Okay, I misunderstood the attorney's directions. I apologize. Okay, then this public hearing is now closed at 4:24. The next items on the agenda are the consent items. Those will be items 8 through 17. I will go ahead and read all of those items, then ask for one motion, 1 second, and then I will open all items up for discussion or questions. This is the procedure of this particular part of the meeting. So item number 8, the minutes of the 5/10/16 regular meeting. Item number 9, award of contract for janitorial services to Underwood Service Enterprises, Pro Force of the Emerald Coast in the amount of $2,520 per calendar month. Item 10, approval of the new certified 5K run route for the Hermit Crab Festival event. Item number 11, approval of memorandum of agreement with the state attorney for the 14th Judicial Circuit of Florida. Item number 12, approval of memorandum of agreement, mutual aid agreement for public safety diving joint agency in-water strike team known as JAWS. Number 13, approval of minor subdivision MS16-03, Cynthia McQuaig, corner of Tennessee Avenue and 13th Street into 2 parcels. Item number 14, approval of minor subdivision MS-16-04, Habitat for Humanity, 1615 Michigan Avenue into 2 parcels. Item number 15, approval of minor subdivision MS-16-05, William Shaw Jr., 2911 Lynn Haven Parkway into 2 parcels. Item number 16, approval of minor subdivision MS-16-06, Lisa Anderson and Joel Schubert, 1616 Wildwood Road into 2 parcels. Item number 17, approval to purchase 2 trash trucks in the amount of $263,610 and approve a new equipment operator position. A motion is needed to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion points on any of these items from the board?
Madam Mayor, I would ask that the audience be aware of what's happening on items 13, 14, 15, and 16. I mean, they're all the same thing, and there's nothing wrong with them, but I'm not so sure that people in the audience understand that that is covered under a previous ordinance that we passed. So the attorney might be able to tell us. Or
yes, sir. These are applications for a minor subdivision. Florida law requires that any time you divide land into 3 or more sections, you have to go through the platting process. But the city a couple years ago, if you all recall, had some issues with people that were dividing platted lots into smaller lots and breaking off the backs and trying to sell them. So rather than get in the middle of that, the city commission decided to adopt its own minor subdivision process for something below 3 lots, but more than one, so basically 2 lots. And they just have to come to the city commission, and it gets vetted by the building staff to make sure that it's a buildable lot, and then it requires your all's approval.
In a few instances, the lots were side by side vertically, and they wanted to cut them this way because it made more sense if they were going to develop them. So it's something that was needed in dealing with the property that was covered under the old plat, and it got smaller and smaller, and our requirements got more demanding on them, and nobody would be able to utilize that property properly to build in. So we created that ordinance to give these people an opportunity, because it's their land and their property, to use it to a better advantage. I just thought we needed to clarify that for the audience.
Thank you, Commissioner Shad. Are there other items for discussion or questions from the board?
Mayor, could I just add one point of clarification? 16 is me, but there's a typo that says Wildwood Road, and I just want to clarify it's Wild Ridge. So if anyone needs to stalk me.
So we'll note that approval. It's Wild Ridge Road and not Wildwood Road.
Yes, Mayor.
Are there other questions or items for clarification from the board? Is there anyone from the public who has a question or would need clarification on any of these items before we take a vote? Yes, ma'am. Would you please come to the podium? You would just state your name and address.
My name is Cheryl Brown, and I live at 1017 Arkansas Avenue. And I love the fact that we're getting 2 trash trucks, but they're tearing up our garbage cans. So, you know, is that expense? I mean, they're pretty rough on it, and mine is almost torn into pieces. So do I have to buy a new garbage can from the city to replace what they're damaging?
And these trash trucks were suggested and brought up to the board by staff, so I'll let the city manager answer that question.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. These are trash trucks, and it gets a little confusing, but the trash deals with the yard waste and the special pickup.
Okay.
And I'd just like to mention it since we're on it. The city has had the same number of trucks and drivers as far as trash and special pickup for 11 years now. During that 11-year span, we've had an increase of approximately 5,000 folks in the city, and we just got to a point where we can't deliver the same quantity of service. We just can't do it. The trucks are prone to break down, and there's just too many accounts. So, and I just want to also emphasize the fact that I'm putting this in the budget now and not in October, or requesting permission now, is we can get these trucks in a couple months, and if we wait until after October, that's when all the other municipalities are also on the same fiscal year, and we'll be in line. It'll probably be a year from now before we got them.
Okay.
Sorry to say all that to answer your question. The direct question for you as far as your garbage is just call public utilities if that's getting tore up from the one-armed bandit, and we will replace your can.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Are there other concerns or questions on any of these items 8 through 17 from the public? There appears to be none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. So the motion has carried for items 8 through 17, the consent agenda. Moving on to old business, item number 18 is the second and final reading of Ordinance 1022 regarding impact fees. Will you be reading that ordinance, Commissioner?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Schubert, thank you.
Ordinance number 1022, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending Section 86 through 91 of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances as it relates to notice requirements for impact fees, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing for an immediately effective date.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns from the board on this particular ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have a motion that we accept?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. There are no questions or comments from the board? No comment or questions from the public? Anyone? There appears to be none. Would you please call the roll for this ordinance 1022 regarding impact fees, Mr. Schubert?
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. And the ordinance has passed. Moving on to new business, item number 19 is Resolution 2016-06649 Sun Trail Grant Application. This is the one I was trying to get a motion for earlier at the wrong time. Is there a motion that we accept?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
You need to read it if you haven't.
I thought we read it
Did you read
earlier.
it earlier?
Do we need to read it again?
We did.
You did, if you read it before, it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all don't be trying to confuse the mayor now. All right, here we go.
Well, and Roger took my motion.
Okay, the motion has been read. The grant application resolution has been read. There's been a motion. There's been a second. There appears to be no discussion. Are there any questions from the public? There appear to be none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, and so the resolution has passed. Moving on to Resolution 2016-06650, amending the impact fees, a decrease. Would you please read the resolution, Mr. Schubert?
Resolution number 2016-06-650, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending impact fees for general governmental services, including fees for parks and recreation, law enforcement, and fire rescue, amending Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances to include such fees, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion that we accept?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or any questions from the board?
Yeah, I'd like to
Commissioner
make
Shad.
a comment to the audience. Over the years, municipalities and our federal government sometimes write ordinances and laws. And we write them in such a way that it doesn't permit us to lower fees. So all this ordinance does is to correct something that should have been in there from the beginning and saying, as a commission, we have the right to lower an impact fee too. So it's sort of a housekeeping item, but it's kind of ironic that we need to pass a motion to be able to do something like that. That's all.
But an important one. Thank you. Any other discussion or questions from the board? Are there any questions from the public regarding this resolution or comments? There appear to be none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll for Resolution 2016-06650?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so the resolution has passed. Item number 21, Resolution 2016-06651, amending impact fees increase.
Resolution number 2016-06-651, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending water and sewer connection charges for connections to the city's water and wastewater system, amending impact fee for general governmental services, including fees for law enforcement and fire rescue, amending Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances to include such fees, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion that we accept?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion from the board? There is none. Any questions or discussion from the public? And there is none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so the resolution has passed. Moving to item number 22, discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of quitclaim deed from Airport Authority. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Do you have any discussion or information, Mr. Schubert?
This is part of the Fuel Depot property, and there's as well as the next item as well. But this is the canal that has been filled in. Somehow the airport wound up with ownership on this. The airport has already voted, their commission or board over there has already voted to deed this property back. The deed's attached, and this would be the city accepting the transfer of that property in anticipation of, again, taking the property for a very short period of time and transferring that property to a developer. But this gets all the ownership in the right hands.
Thank you. Any question or discussion from the public regarding this? Mr. Schubert, please call the roll.
Apologize. The motion, City Attorney.
There was a motion, a second.
I'm just asking who made the motion.
Shad and Ashbrook.
Thank you. Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Motion has passed. Item number 23, the Resolution 2016-06652, amending the authorization for the fuel depot sale. If you'll read that resolution, please.
Resolution number 2016-06-652, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the authorization for the acquisition and subsequent sale of the Lynn Haven Fuel Depot depot from the United States Air Force to Blue Water Development Partners, LLC, approving the conveyance agreement for the sale of the fuel depot from the USAF, approving an amendment to the real estate sales contract with Blue Water, approving an easement agreement with Blue Water for the field depot railroad right-of-way, authorizing the city manager to obtain financing to purchase the field depot direct from the United States Air Force in the event that Blue Water does not close as scheduled for any reason, authorizing the mayor to execute the conveyance agreement, the amended sales contract, the easement agreement, and other closing documents for a closing with or without Blue Water, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion that we accept this resolution?
So moved. Second.
Okay, who made the motion?
Mr. Ashford.
Ashbrook. Okay. And the second was Commissioner Shad.
Yes.
Is there any question or discussion from the board?
I'd just like to make a comment, particularly to our former mayor, Bob Gardner. Bob, I'm not sure we ever figured we'd see the end of this thing.
And if it were appropriate, I would stand and sing "Oh Happy Day" in honor of Jerry Smithwick as well, who's been around for a long time. But if there's no discussion from the board, is there any discussion or questions from the audience members? I see applause. Okay, then if you would, I'm sorry, is there a question? Wonderful. Okay, everyone feels good about this. Okay, Mr. Schubert, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, and that resolution has passed, and we also have our Blue Water developer
gotta
gentleman
close.
with us, Mr. Jackson. Thank you for being here. That moves us to item number 24, discussion and possible action regarding the award of bid for fiscal year 2016 street paving project. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's
And
been
a second.
a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion regarding this paving project? Any questions,
Well,
or would you like to just talk about it a little bit?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This was approved in the original budget and again in the mid-year amended. The bids were assessed yesterday. The low bid, the suggested bid from both our contractor that's facilitating this process and staff is in the recommendation. And they are actually approximately $23,000 over budget. And I wanted to mention that. We can address that with reserves. We will still have our independent enterprise fund, but I did want to mention that. This did involve some engineering in the roads that we're doing this year. One of them is Mosley Drive, and if over there by 77, and it's not just your typical mill and fill as it would be. So there was some engineering cost there as well, but this was planned in the budget. There's two roads. It's Mosley in Minnesota, and I did want, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Mosley in Michigan, and I just wanted to mention that what did come in 23,000 over what we anticipated.
I would just like to add a discussion that I'm extremely excited, especially about the portion of pole vault from manhole to manhole in this stretch, and it would be great to see that repaired in the way it should, and hopefully start a lot of other paving. Any questions or discussion from the public or any other comments from the board regarding this project? Mr. Schubert, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashbrook?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so that has passed. And then our final item, my microphone, can everyone hear me okay? Our final item for today would be public commentary. Is there anyone who would like to bring up any item for discussion that has not been touched on today that you'd like to ask about or talk about? Yes, Mrs. Mrs. Whitcoff.
Francis Whitcoff, 1515 Missouri Avenue. Just want to say thank you for the trail you just signed for. That's getting even closer. One day, we'll have our rails and our trails, I'm sure. Y'all have really worked on it. Thank you very much. And it's close, maybe. Seriously. And thank you very much for helping out for Memorial Day from the city. They're always great at participating with Garden Club, and it all worked out great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Everyone appreciates all that you do, Mrs. Whitcoff. Mr. Miller?
Leon Miller, 1508 Mississippi Avenue. This is nothing new. How are we doing with the turnover of 390? Have we signed the paperwork with the state yet?
I don't believe 390 involves us. It's the county and the state. If you're talking about the 4.5 miles from 77 to 231?
Yeah,
right.
but
that's a state-county issue.
Lynn Haven is involved in it too, because we're going to turn over that street to us, and we're going to pull the sign the paperwork over. How's the county and the state is coming along with it?
I'm not sure. We can ask next week at the TPO. We can talk to Mr. Bryant and Ken Schnell from the county and find out if there's a date established for that transition where the state will actually take it from the county and be the primary arbiter of what is done, which they're trying to expedite, getting that 4-lane. But they won't do that until the state has jurisdiction over the road. But I don't think, Mr. Miller, that it's been done yet. I
think they was kind of waiting on the beach to make up their mind, because the beach has been the hold-up.
Correct.
Okay, number 2 is that, Mr. Schubert, we talked about the turn lane right there on 17th Street. Have you talked to anyone about that? But by Terminal Credit Union, turn lane, the turn light there?
From 77?
At 77 and 17th Street.
Right. No, I'm still in discussions with DOT about that, and then also by the post office.
Okay.
I'll add one other thing, too. In speaking with Mr. Bryant, the engineer for the county, he indicated that I don't know what you call it from an engineering standpoint, I'll call it a turn bubble, where they expand the road for ingress and egress at 26th Street and 389, that should be occurring fairly quickly. I think he indicated that had already gone out to bid, or had already been, apparently the funding is there in their current year. It's not a huge project, but that's a very dangerous intersection where people pull out on 389, especially when Bay Haven is very active in the school year. So that expansion of that intersection to allow turning in and out of 26, both on the east side and the west side, because I think it terminates in Cameron's Crossing. But I understand that is not too far off.
Yeah, I do. And 17th Street, they're working hard. They're doing a good job down there. And I think in the next 2 or 3 months, or whenever they finish, it's going to be a well-done job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anyone else have a comment today?
Mayor, I may
Commissioner Friend?
I may just follow up with the transfer, and I know Mr. Miller will be there at the TPO as he serves. But either way, I would like to add for everyone that Bay County, as I understand, did pass a resolution asking for that transfer to happen. And if everybody understands and can respect what resolutions are, in my opinion, that's kind of a vocal public voice now saying, hey, state, we're ready to get this done. So it's another step in the process, but hopefully it will happen and help facilitate and help them hurry that process up. Thank you.
They had the workshop on the PD&E as well, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, we went
and
to
state's
that.
moving forward with the PD&E, so it's just going to happen.
The city has sent a letter as well to DOT.
Yeah, exactly.
We've done
our job. Yeah.
Thank you. And I do echo Mr. Miller's sentiments about the turn lane by Tyndall. I think, and I'm going to continue making contacts about that as well. And I've also had numerous over and over comments from citizens all over Lynn Haven about their displeasure with that post office debacle and having to pull in the way they do to the post office. You almost have to stop in the middle of 4 lanes of traffic to turn in. It's a very dangerous area. And so I do agree with you on those turns. And I am going to keep on hammering someone about that we don't like it in our city. I don't know if anything will happen. Are there any other comments or discussion about anything? I enjoyed the meeting very much. I hope you all have. And at this time, we will call it adjourned at 4:48.